afternoon, everyone. So welcome, and before we get started, I want to do a huge shout out to our tent guys. Where are you? Let's go, Wade, for all the work they did setting this up. And our middle school, we had some folks at the middle school who created our TEDx BMR. Thank you so much. So I will actually be facilitating this afternoon. Dr. DeFalco is actually at DESE. I'd rather be here than there, working on the state's accountability system. So I hope everyone had a great morning and participated in professional development activities. I want to welcome you all to our afternoon event. We will have our first BMR TED Talks, presented by members of our student community. We have 4 presenters this afternoon, and I want to thank each and every one of them for putting themselves out there, or should I say up there, and sharing their inspirational stories and life journeys with us today. So without further ado, we're going to get right started and start with our BMR TED Talks. So I'd like to introduce our first speaker, who consistently demonstrates her dedication to the field of education and her commitment to her students. Her journey began as an English language learner student, navigating the complexities of language and culture. Through determination and tireless effort, she not only faced every challenge head-on, but excelled academically, earning a doctorate in education. Please join me in welcoming Principal Dr. Jenny Chan-Remka as she shares her inspiring journey, her challenges, triumphs, and the life-changing power of education.
Yeah, I can't stand unquotable. It's too serious for me. I do speak English, so you know. Whether you like me or not, you're going to pay attention to me today because I'm about to tell you a story that is so important. So I was born in Hong Kong, and this is Hong Kong. Beautiful, huh? Beautiful. Big city, very modern. But that's not where I lived. This is where I lived public housing. I remember right here, this is where I took my kindergarten graduation picture. Did a lot of detention on those steps. My brother and I loved to skip school. So we would wait. When my mom would send a grandma, send us to school at 8 o'clock. I'm just making out time, I don't remember. And school started at 8:45. He and I would sit by the staircase and wait 45 minutes and go back home and say we were late. But the school is only a quarter mile away. So then we get disciplined. I came here in 1984. I thought I would fit in. As you can see, there's nowhere in I can fit into those here with those here. I walked into Princeton East High School. I was mortified. I went to the office. I called my aunt. Please pick me up. These people are making out in the hallway. They're fighting. I don't even have a boyfriend. So that was a tough year for me. I arrived in April, so I kind of joined the 11th grade. I had already finished high school in Hong Kong, but I wanted to stay. I didn't want to go to college. So I stayed for another year. They thought because I didn't speak English, but I could read, so they put me in a basic ESL class. Nobody believes in me, because I didn't speak. They put me in Algebra 1 with this stupid paper. Then my teacher say, fold in half, and you do your math. No explanation. Right? But I could do calculus. It was written in Chinese. So that was a really rough year. My parents end up working in a restaurant, end up buying a restaurant. I talked to my counselor, I want to go to school, I want to be a social worker. That didn't last year, so. And she said to me, I'm not sure you can be a social worker. You can't even speak well. I said, I want to go to school. No, you're better off go work for your family at the restaurant. I said, no, I don't think so. So where I went to school, we were in uniform. This is where I try to tell you how mortified I was when I came here seeing people making out in the hall.
Yes.
Culture shock? Yes. I remember when I walked into my science class, I stood up. Everyone looked at me and thought I was crazy. So in my country, you stand up when the teachers come in. You don't sit down until the teacher sit down. So that was a big culture shock. Before we do that, because I would have to give me a t-shirt. So I went to school, I went to CCLI, worked at a restaurant, and then graduated from CCLI, went to work, got a social work degree, and didn't go into social work because my supervisor said I'm too rough around the edge. I'm not gonna be able to help somebody. So I went into insurance. I did really well though. I made a lot of money. When my daughter Jenna, her first birthday, I said to my husband, John, God bless him, I said, John, I want to go back to school to be a teacher. He said, we can't afford it. I don't care. We'll sell our house, we sell our cars, I'm going back to school. We did. We sold our house, we sold our car, we were one car, we were driving together, he dropped me off, I'll drop him off. I finished my master in education in 18 months, and I say, I need to get a job within a month. I need money. So before that, when I was doing my student teaching, how many of you heard of Henry Barnett School? I students taught there. You know what my supervisor said to me? You speak with an accent. You probably should be a teacher. I said, hell, I'm gonna be a teacher. So I did. I got a job in Providence. I was teaching ESL self-contained. So that means you have newcomers to advanced ESL. So the first word I would tell them is classical. And they say, what does that mean? Classical high school, that should go. So I enjoyed teaching 12 years, then become administrator. My first administrative job is at Hilly Bay Middle School. One of my students, Jordan, who didn't want to come to school. And American, you can attest to it, I would go to his house and drag him out of bed. And he finally came from hating school to loving school. Jordan got a principal award at the end. I never forget why I stopped her that before. He said, Mrs. Rumka, how come I have to grow up so fast? I say, this is the reason why you have to grow up so fast. Look at what you got today. 2022, Jordan killed himself. He didn't carry that connection from middle school and high school to life. He couldn't take it anymore, so he killed himself. Why am I telling you this? Not because I want to give you a tissue to wipe your tears, because I know I make people cry last time I spoke about my story. But what I'm trying to tell you is make connection with those kids. Whether they're ESL, special ed, believe in that, because if you don't, they don't have a chance. And I believe in them. Here's some of my students from Providence. Maria, she's a social worker. Right there, teacher. Marcia. Hector, he's a police officer. I don't know how. That kid. He's violent. And there's Susanna, she's a nurse. That they were all in my ESL class as newcomers. It's gonna be a lot of work. This is not a job. This is a mission. So go over there and support your kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Our next speaker. It's my pleasure to introduce our second speaker today, who is a passionate advocate for the transformative power of reading. She has dedicated her career to fostering a love of learning and literacy to inspire students and educators alike. Her love of reading has had a profound impact on her life and the lives of others. Please join me in welcoming Principal Mary Jufrey as she shares her story of learning to love herself, inspire others to do the same, and create a culture of literacy along the way.
Just a disclaimer, it is 100% okay to laugh at the slides. When I was 8 years old, my sister sat by my bed each night and read aloud a chapter from Where the Red Fern Grows. I loved Old Dan and Little Ann. I was inspired by Billy saving coins in a coffee can. I glowed with pride watching Little Ann trot with her dainty little feet when she won the dog show, and I watched in horror to see those dogs stand between Billy and the mountain lion. When the book ended and my heart broke, I clung to my sister and sobbed. That was the first time a book made me cry, but it wouldn't be the last. It was my first real experience with a book. At the tender age of 8, I experienced gut-wrenching loss, but I hadn't actually lost anything. It enabled me to empathize with others. That book gave me a life beyond my own. Not that my own life wasn't fascinating. As the child of naturalists, my upbringing was anything but traditional. I have lived on more than one national wildlife refuge, and the sound of a tent being unzipped will forever feel like home. But at the end of the day, it's not those experiences that define me. No, my identity is this. I'm a huge dork. It's all right. I'm not prompting you to disagree. I really am a dork. I use words like whilst and cloying in informal conversation. I have quotations from Romeo and Juliet and Hamlet tattooed on my wrist and ankle, respectively. I know how to use the word respectively. My dorkiness is something I was born into, obviously. My forestry major father took 2 college semesters of Shakespeare for fun. My mother quoted Macbeth while making soup. After our meal, we would adjourn to the living room where we listened to the Les Miserables soundtrack on cassette tape and huddled around the libretto to learn every line. One summer, my sister and I spent hours paddling our old family canoe around a lake, quizzing each other with quotations from the Belgariad by David Eddings. For fun. So I've been a dork for most of my life, but I didn't always own up to it quite so openly. It's a scary thing to publicly declare your love for something. You risk criticism, conflict, condemnation. What you love may not be conventional or cool. I mean, sure, you can declare your love for football or Disney or Beyonce, but when you love science or reading or the original West End production of Martin Gare, let's just say it's harder to put that kind of love on a t-shirt. I remember being 13 and discovering, it's okay to laugh, discovering that a boy in my class also read David Eddings. To say I was excited is an understatement. I was ecstatic. I found out that I'd read farther in the series than he had, so I practically tripped over myself to loan him the next book. We were in social studies, and he was sitting in the back with his buddies. I handed him the book and waited, ready to bond over King of the Murgos. He, conscious of all the eyes around him, gestured to the artwork on the cover and grumbled, "Who's the chick?" It hurt, but part of me understood. In Walden, Colorado, in 1989, it was not cool to like a book. I shouldn't have exposed him like that. I learned a lesson that day that was reinforced over and over again in Old Town, Maine in 1992, in Allentown, Pennsylvania in 1996. I have spent a good chunk of my adulthood trying to undo that learning in myself and my educational career, preventing that culture from continuing. So flash forward 20 years or so. Google engineers are given time each week to pursue passion projects. And that idea has taken root in the education world as a way to boost creativity and engagement. My 8th grade academic team decided to attempt Genius Hour, but when I asked the kids, what are you passionate about? Their answers ended in question marks. Baseball? Call of Duty? So I decide it is my professional responsibility to empower them to discover their passion and own it. I create a mantra for my classroom, love out loud. I round up all the things that represent my literary dorkiness, and I bring them into school. Action figures of Edgar Allan Poe and Jane Austen, a tissue box called Shakespeare's Schnoz. A gift from a student, by the way. I recite soliloquies when we reach vocab unit 2B. I sing show tunes, and I confess in conspiratorial whispers that I have a crush on Atticus Finch. The kids eat it up. Because of my over-the-top behavior, they know that they can be excited about books and music and poetry. In my classroom, it is okay to be excited about the things that make you happy. It's okay to let that passion connect you with others. It's good to be a dork. My commitment to owning my dorky self is so all-encompassing that I actually put the words literary dork in my eHarmony dating profile. The man I met and eventually married proposed by, wait for it, writing a book. Oh, I have the wrong slide. Oh, it's not in there. Oh, that's sad. That's okay. Jimmy will be sad, but he'll get over it. Okay, back to the story. In 2011, my then hallway neighbor and now best friend, Erin O'Leary, is the school reading specialist. We're discussing, am I behind on my slides? That's it. I was behind. That's why it didn't work. That's the book right there. Oh. His name is Jim. I'm Mary. So it's Kim and Gary, Jim and Mary. And yeah, anyway. Okay. It's been book. My best friend is the school reading specialist. We are discussing how many students had read The Hunger Games for summer reading and wondered, if we could do a book club, do you think the principal would let us take the kids to the movies? We got the green light and thought we would get maybe 20, 25 students. We got 10 times that. In March of 2012, we took 221 readers, roughly half of our school population, to see the movie adaptation of The Hunger Games. We realized early in our recruiting that the book club was going to be an overwhelming success, so we leaned into the dorkiness. To prove they'd read the book, they had to take a quiz, but we didn't call it a quiz, we called it a reaping. We dressed in our best Effie Trinket outfits. We divvied the kids up into districts. They took it from there. They made posters, t-shirts, team handshakes, and it was during one of these reapings that we were given our name. A student saw us in the hallway and said, "Oh, you're one of those crazy reading ladies." After the movie, we created games pitting the districts against each other. They had cornucopia relay races and trivia contests. The variety of students sucked into the madness of the book club was like nothing we had ever seen. Kids from every different clique and group came together for these events. They were united in one thing. They'd all read a book. No, they'd all had an experience with a book. As you can imagine, the school community was eager to repeat the experience the next year. In year 2, we read The Hobbit, we discovered our name, All In, and we incorporated t-shirts. But the rest of the formula stayed the same. Read, reap, movie, celebrate for 10 years. All told, we helped create positive experiences with books over 2,000 times. Erin and I grew from teachers to literacy advocates. In addition to All In, we led literacy initiatives in our school and district. Our shenanigans garnered the attention of the International Literacy Association, and we began writing for them and speaking at their conferences. We built relationships with movie studios, authors, and publishers. We trademarked our name. Along the way, I made the leap from teacher to administrator. I took that job with all kinds of wide-eyed enthusiasm. As a teacher, I said in my interview, I could only reach 80 to 100 kids a year. As an administrator, I would have access to 500. Just think how I can mold them, positively influence them, use my role to connect with students in new and meaningful ways and lead them to become the change makers the world so desperately needs. Administrators may be able to give the green light to teachers with great ideas. They can move things around in a budget to find money for plastic swords and field trip buses. But there's a lot we cannot do. The truth is, leading a culture of literacy must be done by teachers. We need you to connect with students and mentor them into readers. And since they haven't taken the mic away from me yet, I am going to share with you how you can be a literary leader even if you don't have a cool t-shirt. Number 1, ignite a love of reading by giving students experiences. And no, those experiences cannot begin and end with finding quotations to support a claim. Have them make videos and podcasts. Let them wear costumes, create board games, build positive memories. So when they hear the word reading, they're not thinking about reading comprehension worksheets, but of laughter and connection with their peers. 2, read with them. Don't just assign it and expect them to read it. Read aloud, even in high school. Do the voices and the accents. Stumble over the hard-to-pronounce words. It's okay, they'll forgive you. Cry. And when you lose your voice from reading aloud, give them access to audiobooks. Heck, give them access to audiobooks every day. Don't worry, it's not cheating. 3, give them good books. So many adults report that they haven't read a book since they finished school, whether it's high school or college. That should make us rethink what we assign as reading. It's so much less important to teach the classics and more important to share gateway books that will inspire kids to become readers. If they're only going to read the stuff we require, then we have an obligation to require good stuff. As much as I'm sure John Steinbeck was a lovely man, nobody became a reader because of the Pearl. We also need to recognize our competition. I'm not saying social media is evil. I love me a good TikTok as much as the next person. But social media is easy to consume. If we're going to stand a chance battling social media, we need to pull out the big guns. Just look who we have on our side. John Green, Angie Thomas, Veronica Roth, Suzanne Collins, Ruta Sepeti, Steve Sheinkin, Rex Ogle, Matt Tavares, Raina Telgemeier, Alan Gratz, Jared Krasoska, Jordan Flipping Sonnenblick. And if you don't know who these people are, I will give you a pass, but only for today. I'm not going to be patient for long. We cannot fight this battle ahead if we don't know the terrain. Adults, if we want our kids to read, we must be readers. It's so important, I'm going to say it again. Adults, if you want your kids to read, then you must read. You don't have to be an ELA teacher to promote a culture of reading. Read historical fiction in social studies, climate fiction in science. Talk about what you're reading. Add it to your email signature. I could and often do go on and on about what we need to do to promote literacy in schools, but I was supposed to keep this to 10 minutes. So if you're looking for more ideas, send me an email or just Google crazy reading ladies. And I want to leave today with this acknowledgement. I have learned that in order to do the work that matters, you have to own who you are. I am so lucky to have the foundation provided by my hippie parents, the love of my dorky sister, the support of my sometimes author husband, and the incredible good fortune to be assigned next door to my best friend. It is through them that I find the courage to own who I am and love out loud, and I hope today I have inspired you to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. All right, I would like to introduce our next speaker, who is not only a remarkable educator, but a visionary whose innovative spirit knows no boundaries. She began her journey with a bold idea. Through sheer determination and unwavering passion, she turned her dream into reality, creating a safe haven where children with autism could thrive and learn. Please welcome our amazing preschool teacher, Dr. Kat Boisberg, as she shares her inspiring story, the lessons she has learned along the way, how her experience has fueled her passion for teaching and motivated her to create an equally nurturing and inspiring environment within her own classroom.
I want to talk a little bit about motivation. And we have high school students who have come back recently and were asking me, why do you want to be a teacher, Miss B? The scary thing is, I had some of those little guys when they were in preschool, and now they're in high school. And I know now, motivation when we're starting out, it wasn't easy. When I first began, what motivated me was learning how to teach, learning about the curriculum, learning all those things. But as time goes on, it's changed. Some things that motivated me then don't now. I want to start with this quote. Wisdom is not a product of schooling, but a lifelong attempt to acquire it. I went to school to prove to myself I was smart. I remember the day I defended my dissertation. I walked away, I went to my room and cried, and I thought, that was a waste of time. Later on, I realized it wasn't, but I was trying to prove to everybody else what I could do, but I didn't believe it. So it's not about what we do, it's about planting those seeds and getting people to believe. So what's your motivation? You don't have to shout it out, but think about it. What's your motivation? Do you know? I couldn't answer that question when the first high school kid came in. They said, what motivates you, Miss B? And I went, well, work and kids, and I like what I do, but I couldn't truly answer the question. And it made me think. Motivation changes, but at the core of it, we have to figure out what it is so we can access it. For me, when I was going through my journey, after I went and got my degrees and I got all that paperwork, I never felt so low. I didn't believe in me. And the thing that helped me, and I'm not saying this is going to be yours, but an event, a motivating event, I volunteer taught. I went outside of my comfort zone and I volunteer taught. I went to South Africa. I've never been so afraid. And I've never been so proud. I did things I never dared dream. Years later, I had an opportunity to work for the Hope Foundation for Autism Awareness. One of my colleagues from Columbia said, we need you. There are children here that no one knows how to teach. Help us. I thought, what can I do? She said, please come try. So we get there, and they say, we've got an idea, Kathy. We've got a classroom for the kids. And I said, oh my God, I'm going to be on the news for being a horrible human being. They got a box. I thought, can we at least leave the door open? They had a plan. We figured it all out, but this is what they thought at first. So we came together, and we literally were gonna pull off the doors, put some curtains, but the community came together, and we had a vision. So they came and they said, what do you want, Kathy? What do you want? They called me Dr. Kathy, which I thought was funny. What do you want, Dr. Kathy? And I said, I want a place that is better than anything on island. I want a classroom that everybody wants to be in. And we went out and we kept finding sponsors. And they kept building. And they kept building. And we ended up with the most beautiful classroom on the island. We built a place for kids to go that wasn't an embarrassment. Parents didn't need to be ashamed. We wanted a place for them to learn and be proud of who they are. When we educate the minds of our youth, we must not forget to educate their hearts. So the first thing we did was let the families in. And we talked about who these kids were, not as learners, not as children, but just as human beings. Children impacted by autism do things that we may or may not understand. So the first goal was to humanize them, personalize them, and bring them to the front and say, this is who we are. Let's celebrate that. It was such an honor and such a privilege to do it. Again, we went back, and I walk into a store. There's very few stores there. I think it was called Dime a Dozen or something. And they go, it's you, Dr. Kathy. And I went, yeah. And they went, we've got something for you. People came in and started donating. They said, we want that classroom to be beautiful. We want it to be a place to learn, or a place for these two kids to grow. And it was. It was this incredible opportunity for us to bring together what we wanted to do and what we could do. I remember the day I stood here. I never thought it would come. And the news media was there and everything. And they said, what do you call this? What would you call this? And I said, home. It's a home for them to learn. It's a place for them to be who they are without apology. This is a place to be who you are, to grow and maximize your potential. The strange thing, I learned who I was. I really thought about it. It doesn't matter where I stand or where I go. I am a teacher, and I bring that with me wherever I go. I stood there in this room, and I made it a classroom. I had to go and move all my stuff, and everybody who knows me knows it was a mountain, over to the other school. I was so afraid, and then I remembered, it doesn't matter. Wherever I go, I go. I am the teacher. I will make this room a classroom. I know we're all working hard. I know some days are long. But at the end of the day, remember what motivates you. And remember, you motivate the kids. We can do this together. And sometimes it all comes together. A couple years ago, a little guy said, when I grow up, I want to be Miss B. Of course, the kid next to him said, I don't. I want to be much taller.
For our final presentation, it is my honor to introduce our final presenter, one of our students who created a BMR TED Talk video for us. She embodies resilience and courage in her journey as an English language learner student, transitioning from Brazil to the United States. Her story is a testament to the power of education and the human spirit. Demonstrating perseverance and determination, she managed the challenges of a new language and culture to thrive in her new environment. Today, she will share her unique perspective, offering insights into the successes and challenges she's facing. But before we present the video, where she shares her extraordinary journey of growth and accomplishment, we would like to introduce her. So please join in welcoming one of our BMR Chargers and company. Mary, would you like to introduce our guest today, our special guest today?
I would. And this is the Alice family, and they all took this extraordinary journey. And this is Berna, who you'll see in a few minutes, Isabelle, and Sophia.
Hello, my name is Bruna Fernanda and I'm Brazilian. And today I'm going to talk about my journey as an immigrant. I've lived most of my life in Brazil and I have always had a happy and normal life. Going out with my friends to squares, eating pizza, drink açaí and other things. I also went to the church. I spent good part of my time at my grandparents' house eating fruit straight from the tree and enjoy the view like the cows, trees, sunset and etc. And always with my cousins watch moving, playing games or just talking. But not everything has a bed of roses. Brazil is a good place to live, but not everything is conducive to stay in the same place all the time. Price has started to rise too much, and everything was getting hard to survive. And for me, as a part of a family of three daughters, it's even worse. Both of my parents work, but wasn't enough. Foods went up, the price of the things went up, but in the most case, salaries remain the same. So everything has get more difficult. Because of all of this, I had to make the most drastic and I can ever say difficult change of my life. It didn't take too long. It was only about few months. When my parents have an idea, it's very difficult for them to get out of their heads, and which is exactly what happened. I live in the state of Rondônia in Brazil, and I was about to turn 16 when my parents told me and my sister that we'd go to move city or states again, but countries, specifically the United States, due to the fact that my parents have friends here. They told me when I go there, I should focus on studying and learning English, as this could help me a lot in the future. I was a person who talked to everyone, but I didn't have many friends. At school, I always had about 3 or 4 friends, sometimes even less, because I moved around a lot due to my father's work. This is the reason that I don't really like moving, and sometimes it's still difficult for me because I know that every time I move, I have to adapt and try to make new friends. We moved to United States I really after I turned 16. The first state I lived in it was Delaware, and what's very strange to be in a place that was totally different for I was two. The airport are so very big. I didn't understand anything that people say, and I felt very cold since there were cold places in Brazil, which was warmer climate. The foods don't have the same taste. The houses are different. The clothes that people wear, and etc. I can say there was not a good experience for someone who was in a new place and with a new language. My adaptation was very difficult and I couldn't communicate properly with people. Because I couldn't communicate, I felt very alone because I didn't have any friends. And I told my parents then I want to go back to my country and I didn't want to stay here. But there was not I could be with, I didn't get by. At school I went, there were a lot of Spanish students. And Spanish is very similar with Portuguese. So I tried to communicate and make friends with the Spanish speaking students. And because of this, I started to learn Spanish and not English, which was the main language I'm supposed to be learning. Besides the fact there was no one who could help me with English. And the only words I can speak in English were hi, sorry, I don't speak English, or I'm speak Portuguese. After I moved over here to the Blackstone, that's what, and I really start to get help from the people and really start to learn English. Here I have teachers who, from the beginner, will help me and teach me English. I only had students who spoke English, so I tried around learning English anyway, since there was one thing that around me all the time. And so I started trying to make new friends with the Americans, and I was very lucky because I had a lot of more help than in the other states where I lived. Here I have friends and teachers who in class tried their best to help me and understand the subject and what's going on. More specific, the course class. I have friends who would sit next to me and they tell me all the pronunciation of the words so then I could sing along of the song and more learn English. I lose my fear so that I could feel safe and start trying to communicate with other people who begin afraid to get the pronunciations wrong. Many teachers were helpful, whatever. Mr. Schaaf took a lot of the time to explain the things to me. Also, Mr. Deleto, Mrs. Ducharme were very helpful as well. Mrs. Grace had been my uncle. Miss Waterman was helpful and when I first arrived. And because all of this today, I feel more secure. And also through this, I have the opportunity to help other students who are going through the same situation as me. I can help them to try the things easier and more level. And through me and the other students who have managed to take immigrant students more comfortable and less lost than we are. Return to talk about the United States. Today, I have become used to different climate with people say things that sometimes I don't understand, but the food still don't have the same taste for me. And I also learned to appreciate the things that I was able to have here, things that would be easy for my parents to produce for me and my sister. And I won't say it's not easy, but I learned to get used to, and I can even say I love the whole process. Because of all of this, I meet more people and become who I am today. I learn to be more sociable and lose the fears of try to do new things that make me break off my bubble. In close, I'm so very thankful for people in the school who care about me and help me in this journey. Thank you.
Bruna, thank you so much. You did an amazing job. So I hope, and actually I think we're going to end a few minutes before time, so that's great. So I hope you enjoyed our first BMR TED Talk. This will not be our last. I'd like to give another huge round of applause for all our presenters today, Jenny, Mary, Pat, and Bruna. Thank you again for sharing your inspiring stories. And I want to just leave everyone with just one thought. Remember, we all have a story that includes our challenges and successes, and we're all on a personal journey. It makes us who we are. And most importantly, we need to remember that our students, too, have their stories and their journeys. And I encourage you to acknowledge them and embrace all of them. Thank you. I hope you had a great afternoon with TED Talk. Like I said, it won't be our last. And have a great weekend.